Autumn, a time of changing leaves, bountiful harvests, and dwarves. As the layer of frost begins to form on the surface, the dwarves retreat to their underground home to prepare for the cold winter months by harvesting bountiful crops, crafting new seasonal items, and ensuring that their fortress is secure from the creatures lurking nearby. But not all of their preparations are for practical reasons, for autumn is also the time for the perplexing dwarven practices of eating, drinking, and decorating, collectively referred to by researchers as Dwarftoberfest. It is through these rituals that the dwarves bond and, perhaps more importantly, gain weight, ensuring that the colony survives until spring. Winter is coming. But for now, it's still autumn in A Game of Dwarves.
Hello and welcome to our Dwarftober streaming for A Game of Dwarves. I'm Fred, and with me I have Jörgen.
Yes.
And he's going to help us show more of the game today. He's one of our master builders for this game, and he has built a lot of crazy structures. Do you want to tell us more?
Yes. When Fred tells me I need to do more work at the office, I usually fire up A Game of Dwarves and pretend to work while I actually build stuff. I shouldn't tell you this, but who cares? Well,
All the other people tell me that anyways.
Yeah, they do. They do. We have some nice buildings to show you. We have some new free items for Halloween, or Dwarftoberfest, as they like to call it, with us. But outside of the picture, we also have Anna, who's currently building. She got tasked with building something nice in an hour. So we'll see what she has been building. And we also have Johan, who's currently wearing a very nice hat in gold.
He is in character, you could almost say.
Very much so, very much so. And with us, we have Petra moderating the chat. And if you have any smart or not so smart questions, feel free to ask her them, and she will relay them to us, and we will
give not so smart answers.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. So, we've been working, this game just released a week and a half ago.
Yes.
I would say that we have received pretty good reception from the players. Everyone who actually played this game seems to like it, which makes me very happy because I've been working with it for a year.
Yeah.
So, shall we fire it up and see what we can...
Let's do that and see what you have cooking for us.
So I'm going to load I'm going to start by loading a small build I have made of the Paradox offices.
So what are the dwarves doing in the Paradox office?
Some of them, most of the producers or researchers. Then we have the PR team, which is in this game mostly depicted as different kinds of warriors. And we have a prince there who I assume would be you then.
Oh, I like the outfit there. I should dress like
this
that.
is, as you can see, it's a pretty small. We don't have the biggest offices.
And we locked finance in, I can see that
Yes,
much.
yes, we did. And to make
Are these
the
locked doors? Or
No, they're not.
They can open them.
If we don't want them to get out, we'll just
Oh, good.
lock them like that.
Nice.
So this is the publishing wing of the Paradox offices. To scale and very realistic, apart from that we don't have a dinner table and some beds right there, but we need that to make the dwarves stay. See that as a hint, Fred.
Oh yeah.
We should have
If
more
you
beds.
build the beds and they will sleep, as they say.
They will. So this is where us producers sit, where we produce all the magnificent games we publish. I'm the only one who gets a chair. Ironically, the position of the chair makes it impossible to work at this workbench.
Oh, is that a hint as well?
Yes, yes, I would say so.
I would assume so.
Well, as I said, the PR team is currently depicted as warriors. I don't know if that is a hint or anything. We
the
like
finance department, what are they? Are
they've
they
gone home
orcs?
they've gone home for the day.
Oh, okay.
They're not here right now.
Right.
So this build I only made for funsies to see, well, if I could do a pretty simple structure.
Simple basic structure.
Simple basic structure. Well, of course, I need a couple of other people. Here we have our little vegetable patch, which feeds the whole office.
What are you growing there? Is it-
I'm growing different kinds of radishes,
oh, nice.
which are really good, really good. So that's it. That's it for that. This is a pretty old. I built this not pre-beta, but a couple of weeks before release as well. So I haven't really got back to.
Oh, so he walks
fix it.
through the door there. I can see that.
Oh, yeah, it's by design.
It's by design, yeah.
Of course. And for those of you who are builders more than hardcore gamers, if you haven't noticed, there's a nice little icon that makes you able to remove everything and just look at the pretty, pretty creations you have made. Nice.
It's very nice. So, what else would you like to show us later on here?
Let me show you some other of my vast creations. As I said, or as you said, we just released a couple of new items for the Dwarftoberfest. It's one part Halloween pack with all the important stuff: pumpkins, broomsticks,
Yeah.
and things like that. Let me just load it up, and I will show you. Also, a scarecrow fighting dummy for your warriors to fight against something scarier than the regular ones, and a pack of natural themed floors and walls. So this is
Right, to get that autumn feel, right?
exactly. So this is a much bigger build that I've been working on for quite some time. This is the first major build I started up way before release. So here's my spawning pool and the first little patch of lemon trees and mushrooms. And if we get in closer, we can see that here's the Japanese themed part of the lair. The bedroom with a relaxing, well, almost feng shui feel to it.
I think
clean.
it has, yes.
Very
yes.
clean.
And then you have some sort of practice Budo hall.
Exactly, down to the dojo, where Markbjörn just...
Not a very Japanese name, you can
No,
say that.
no, but he just turned level 13, and that's quite impressive for a
is cool.
dwarven fighter. We also have Dorn, who's level 13.
You
To
have
be
these
honest,
two-handed axes, they're pretty impressive too.
they are. They're bigger than they are. To be honest, in this build they haven't seen much fighting because I mostly kept them to myself in case of. I'm not a huge explorer, more of a builder. If we
You're a lover, not a fighter. Is that
very
how we
much
could
so,
actually interpret it?
very much so. And if we take a couple of steps down, we arrive at the Great Hall, where I don't know where the prince is run. Oh, there he is.
He never walks far away from his throne.
No, he
does
doesn't. No, he doesn't. So when you play the campaign, or when you play a custom game with a higher difficulty level, where you wanna challenge, it's good. It's good to just keep him close, because you don't want him destroyed, because then you will fail.
Right. And now you have 44 scientific points as well, but you used them all, I guess.
Yes. As I said, I've been working in this in this build for quite some time, so I've maxed pretty much everything out.
I can
So
see that.
here he can look down at his loyal subjects when they eat, and we can take a trip into the what's it called? Cellar.
Yeah, the basement.
Exactly, where we keep some treasure just in case, some extra food, and the generator for those traps that I will get around to build eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
Further,
How do you use the traps? Do you use them in different, on the walls or on the floor, or how do you typically use a trap?
let's take a look at what we have trap-wise. As you can see, we have quite the array of evil mechanisms to kill our enemies, and some of them are put like the blade trap. It's put on the floor, and when enemies walk over it, they take some damage. This is one of the weakest traps. It's pretty cheap to build. You get it without expanding that much into the tech tree. And as you can see, it only has a 1. The crossed swords is only ×1, which means it doesn't do that much damage.
When I played role-playing games, pen and paper role-playing games back in the days, there was an addition that was system-free called Grimtooth's Traps.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Are we taking any impression from old Grimtooth in this trap-making business?
I would say that since most of the developers and the people who work at Paradox have played a fair bit of Swedish pen and paper role-playing games at a sensitive age, it's hard not to take in stuff
But
from
Grimtooth is actually international, though.
Is it?
Yes, it's only translated into Swedish.
I have the
So
Swedish
Grimtooth
version.
is actually, I think, was an extra addition. You could use it for Dungeons & Dragons,
Yeah.
or for any role-playing game, basically. It was system-free, so that's a really cool addition.
It is. It was a
All
fantastic.
you kids out there who didn't play role-playing games, you should start now.
And
Pen and paper role-playing games.
And if I could implement one of those sinister contraptions, I would probably hide something here in my concert room.
Oh, a concert hall. What kind of
Yes.
music do you play here?
Most-
Short pieces only?
Yes, yes, very short songs.
Oh, that was the worst joke so
Yes.
far. I'm sorry about
Let's
that.
see if we slowly and steadily can work our way up from that level.
Yeah.
We don't promise anything, but
No.
we'll see what we can do. So, when a dwarf is horribly burned in some kind of accident, he can put on a mask and then play sinister tunes from the grand piano. And as you can see in the tooltip, it's an object designed and built by non-dwarven hands. This is actually built by the giant spider.
Oh, the piano?
The piano. They have 8 limbs, so they're pretty good at both playing and building stuff.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, actually.
But we thought it would be...
Oh, I see some sort of demon jumping in a dungeon
oh yes,
over there.
yes, I haven't. And as you can see, we have a couple of brave souls who laid their lives down. That reminds me, I have to show you the latest part of this. My mausoleum.
Oh, over the fallen heroes.
The Hall of Fallen Heroes. Let's pick up the other. I'm one of those guys who plays games not especially competitive. I like to build, I like to decorate, and you can see that here. I mean, you don't have to save the gravestones from deceased dwarfs, but I like to honor their memories,
Right.
even if they just died from starvation when I forgot them in home.
You forgot to build like a ladder, so they starved to death.
I'd like to think that they forgot to build a ladder.
Oh, yeah, that's usually the case.
These nice windows and the I lost.
Winged dwarfs?
Thank you, the winged dwarfs, angel dwarfs. It's also a new DLC pack you can find in the shop, together with the Halloween items and
most of that is for free, right?
yes, the graveyard pack is not. It's 99 cents, but the Halloween pack with nice things such as jack-o'-lanterns, these very nice looking apple trees that also provide a lot of sustenance for your dwarves. We have these little pretty lanterns, and as you can see, they're very Dwarftober-ish with the bats sleeping in them.
I see that.
We also have cauldrons for those what's it called? Concoctions? Concoctions.
Good.
And there's also a broomstick, and where did I put that scarecrow? Where did I put the scarecrow? Apparently I lost it, so we'll have to build one.
So, Jörgen,
Yes.
what else are we... would you like to show us more structures as well, or are we actually letting the people who played it for an hour now take over and show what you can build in an hour
Yes.
with the dwarves? What do you suggest we do?
I suggest that let me just show you, I have to show you the scarecrow before we... Oh, here he is in all his glory. A worker, quick, a worker. They're all gone.
Oh, is that how you treat your subjects?
I like to yell at them when they're slow. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
they're not like most workers are. They don't always want to work. Hint.
Is that? Oh. Oh, there you go.
Look at him. He's so. Oh, too far. He's so pretty.
And is there someone comes to build them, or?
Yeah. Most of the objects are built by the crafty crafter, Thorvald. So you tell them where to build it, and they shall come.
And you can see the ale tree there as well.
Oh, yes.
Just on the side of that of the stone.
So, and a barrel for them to. Dwarves love their booze, as the tooltip says, and we know this to be true. But we can come back to this, and we can come back to what I've been building later. So let's jump to. We're all red diggy dwarfs. Let's jump to what Anna is currently building. Oh, he's slacking off a bit now, isn't he? Oh, let's see what we have here.
So, what is this? This has been built in an hour. Is that correct? Okay. What do we have here? Do you have a mic?
No. Okay.
So-
let us iterate. You start, Fred.
Yes. I think it's some sort of grand hall, but I can't really see that good. It definitely has that Dwarftober feeling to it, with the apple trees, the pumpkins, the horse radishes, or
Yeah.
whatever that is in the middle, and the spawning pool in the middle of that. So it looks really great. It looks almost like it could be a soccer field. It's just that it's trees growing in there. So if the dwarves were really interested in playing, I shouldn't say soccer, only the Americans say that. We call it football, right?
Dwarf ball.
Dwarf ball, probably. And no dwarf tossing, because that's illegal in these
Dwarf
caves.
tossing.
What do you think, Jörgen? What do you think
I
this
think
is?
I think it's really nice. I love what you did, what you've done with the fertile soil. That you've placed. My English just failed me. Stuff that grows. What's it called?
Vegetables, maybe,
Vegetables and crops. Plants. Thank you very much. That you placed them nicely and then just masked out everything that's not fertile soil with the leafy floor.
Yes.
And I think those new green, almost Celtic floorboards are gorgeous.
And I can see the treasury, or the storage room from here as well. You have a few wooden chests there that I guess contains all the dwarven treasures and all the wood or whatever, all the lumber they need to build stuff, all the steel and everything.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't played the game, you pretty quickly hit a storage cap with the resources. So you have to expand your array of chests to be able to hoard all your treasures into it.
And you're putting a red carpet in there. I think that's very nice for all the poor worker dwarves who go there for to check out if they have any lumber to build things from. So this is how you should treat your subjects, Jörgen, not by yelling at them. They will be very sad if you do that.
I know. I just get so frustrated with them sometimes.
So what else do we have? This is more of a mining and dining. Oh, see what I did there? The mining and dining hall, people.
That's how you
I'll be here all week.
That's how you court dwarves. You
Exactly.
mine and dine them.
You mine and dine the dwarves, and they shall be happy ever after. Here you can see that you have resources like silver. You have iron, preferably, right?
Yeah,
You have some gold on the walls there.
More fertile soil and tourmaline.
Do you have any questions in the chat for us so we can check if we can answer them right away?
And what are your plans with this? Are you planning to make a grand hall out of it, or
Yeah, I was thinking this is gonna be, the big hall.
The-
And here's where they get their vegetables and stuff like that.
the place to be? Cool. For those of you who hang around in the Steam hubs, their new game forums, I really can recommend to go in there and see what people have been building, because they've been building.
Some
The
amazing
gamers
stuff.
have been building some really amazing stuff. That
I just got a question. How much is this game?
It's €9.99 euros or dollars. So
It's a magic number.
it's a magic number. And I can say without lying that I've been putting roughly 40 non-work hours into this game. Just just, I
Building.
mean, of course I like it. I've been working with it for a year, but
So
when
you're
I
kind of biased. you could
kind
say.
of biased, but the point when I realized that this was the game for me, that was when I was going to go in and check a milestone delivery from the developers. I planned to do it for 15 minutes, and when I 2.5 hours later found that I just redecorated my Japanese bedroom, I realized that, oh my God, this is a time sink.
So you can say that Jürgen plays this game all the time in the office. That's almost everything he does, which is a true story.
Pretty much.
Is this game like Dungeon Keeper? Someone asks in the chat.
I must admit to never have played Dungeon Keeper.
Boo!
People tell me that it's one of the best games of his era.
It's a great
so
game.
eventually I will have to play it. But from what I've talked a lot to the devs about this, because people have been mentioning Dungeon Keeper together with this game since we first showed it. I wouldn't say that it's not very much like Dungeon Keeper. Of course, it's a management game. You dig underground. It has some of the same qualities, but it's a different type of game with some overlap. A lot of people who bought this said that they liked it and appreciated it because of the Dungeon Keeper-ish feel.
Yeah.
But Dungeon Keeper was more of a strategy game, I think.
That was much more of a strategy game. I have played both Dungeon Keeper 1 and Dungeon Keeper 2, and this game resembles Dungeon Keeper in many ways, but it is not an attempt to recreate Dungeon Keeper. It
No.
takes some impression from Dungeon Keeper. It's inspired by, the same way it's inspired by, I would say, Theme Hospital, for example, to some extent, maybe even Minecraft, and maybe even some of those games, like building games, where you can be creative, or you can play the campaign, basically.
Exactly.
So now we're talking here.
Is
Look
there
at
any
this.
kind of tutorial? Yes, there is. The first 2 levels of the campaign, called The Trial, and the name of the second one just slipped my mind, is a tutorial that shows you all the basics you need. So if you want to be a bit more aware of what you're doing, don't jump right into the custom game.
Right.
Play the first 2 missions, fiddle about with it.
And the tutorial is basically, you get, the campaign is all about the dwarves winning back their old lands from the evil mages that you might recognize. They resemble some wizards that I've heard of
I don't know
before.
where I've seen them before, but they're very familiar.
They're very familiar. They look a bit taller than the ones we know, but you never know. Wizards can pretty easily gain level if they're like power playing. You know that.
Exactly.
So what you're doing basically is helping your dwarf colony to grow and take back the old hemland, as they call it, the dwarves.
Exactly.
So your dwarf father, the dwarf king, is actually your guide during the tutorial and the campaign. And he's not a very nice person, I can say that much.
He's not. So, another question was, is there anything else in the game but the decoration mechanics? I would say, of course there is. Of course there is. But in this stream, we wanted to focus on the decoration mechanics to show off the new nice Halloween-themed items.
There is a campaign, like we mentioned. There are 12 campaign missions, if I'm correctly informed.
Yeah.
And it takes about 20 hours, if you play fast, to play through the campaign missions. Not that we wouldn't like measure anything just in the number of hours, because if it's not fun to play, it's still just putting hours into it. But this is, I would say, well worth like the 20 hours you put into it.
Yeah. And the campaign is more strategic. You have a goal in each mission. You find bosses, you fight mobs, so you have to be more strategic. And in the custom game, you can choose depending on what kind of player you are. If you're a player like me, who are afraid of scary spiders and goblins, you can turn off the mobs. You can turn the difficulty level down, and turn the amount of resources up to just be able to decorate the crap out of your dungeon. But if you want more of a challenge, then you play the campaign.
Can you kill the enemies in the maps, or are there random events, or how does it work with the enemies in the campaign maps and in the other maps?
As you can see, if Anna, could you scroll around to look at the question marks there? Yes, as you can see, scattered around the map in different levels, there are question marks. these mark random event rooms. So when you dig into these rooms, you can find anything from not that scary, low-level, non-attacking gnomes that just wants to be your friend, or you can find really scary queen spiders or angry orcs.
Right.
And those enemies you can, of course, kill. But to be able to do that, you need a well-honed military machine, mainly, well, a couple of military dwarves.
So here, what did we find? No enemies there, right?
No, I turned them off in this one. but
Yeah.
Oh, enemies are turned off. This is only for decorating them. Okay, so if this had been a map where enemies were actually turned on,
Yes.
this would probably have contained some evil and fierce-looking orcs.
Yeah. And the idea is that the further down you dig, the more dangerous the monsters will be. So
Yeah.
there's a risk of expanding too fast
So hence the expression, they dug too deep.
and too greedily.
Exactly, that's what they say about the dwarves, right?
Uh,
They delved too deep, I think,
delved too
even
deep.
the original.
So another question. Right now you can't, but will we be able to move the soil in the future? This is something we're looking at. We want to be able to solve this, but we can't. It's not as simple as just.
without blocks.
Yes. But I assume that the question was that if we could move the fertile soil.
Yes.
Please correct me if I misunderstood this. But
So for everyone who hasn't really played the game, the fertile soil allows you to grow vegetables, which will keep your dwarves fed and happy.
yes,
So
and you
without fertile soil, you're pretty much screwed.
exactly, and you can always build on the surface. But we're looking at fixing that. Yes, you can even build in the snow. The dwarven vegetables are a tougher kind than our regular. Ooh, nice snow one. Than our regular.
The force is strong.
The
within
force is
vegetables.
strong in those carrots. So we want to be able to do that because, again, it depends on what kind of player you are. If you want more of a challenge, then maybe you shouldn't be able to move the fertile soil. But if you just want to decorate, then we'll look into it. Can I play this in window mode? Yes, you can. You just go. Let me read that question again.
You can play it in full screen or window mode if you like to. There is, I think, an option to play it in window mode.
You just click the box in the graphic options.
Yep,
as
the
Anna-
window mode box.
as Anna now showed you. Cool.
So someone asked, is there something beside the campaign, only free world building? And that's basically what we're showing here.
Yep.
Because this is, in this free world, if I understand correctly, you can choose how many enemies you have. Like in this build, we have no enemies at all. You're just building cool stuff. You can choose really fierce and dangerous enemies. So you're like almost have a tower defense game where people keep on attacking you, almost, I guess. But
We have been getting a bit of feedback that the hardest difficulty level isn't really that hard.
right,
And when we looked at it, we must kind of admit to this is not a very hard game currently. But there's also one thing we're looking at. We're looking at patching to make you able to play free world but harder.
yes. So what we'll do is just add some Balrogs, and we should be right on track, right?
Yes.
I thought Balrog was copyrighted.
I think Balrog is something Tolkien made up, and they seem to be a litigious bunch. So let's stay off the Balrogs.
Yeah. No Balrogs in this
No
game.
Balrogs. We will just add some Beholders. Not that I think Hasbro is less litigious though. So we'll make up some monsters.
We'll
that,
see.
that will,
We'll see what we can do.
we'll observers, we can call them. That's right, Matt. Thank you very much. But we'll make up some new
without-
monsters for you guys, and
Not to take the monsters away from Fred, but we will tweak the mob's behavior a bit to make you able to have a harder time in your dungeons, since that's something that people have been asking for.
right. If you want a really hard time in your dungeon, you should be able to have that.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Because everyone is not like me who just want to fiddle about with decorations all the time.
I'm pretty impressed this was done in an hour. When I play for an hour, I'm pretty much still at the surface, like goofing around.
Yeah. So will users be able to build custom campaigns? No, unfortunately not. Because of the engine this game is made in, it's not very moddable.
No, that's unfortunate, and we will definitely think about that if we ever do a sequel for the game, because making custom campaigns would be really cool. Like
Yes,
a game
it would.
editor of sorts would be really cool. But unfortunately, we can't do this in the current game.
But don't worry, there's plenty of replayability there anyway. But as we said, unfortunately, no custom campaigns. I really like what you're doing with the place. Where do they get? Oh, they get their food from up there.
Yeah, so they're gathering it here and then we carry it.
Nice. And as you can see, there's also a special Dwarftoberfest table that is even feastier than the regular ones, with pumpkins and pies and cabbage and a chicken.
Turkey, I think.
Turkey, sorry. I'm Swedish, so I think everything looks like chicken. So what about Steamworks support, making my own items? It's the same restrictions there. The engine won't allow us, or won't allow. It's hard to do in the engine. No, unfortunately. But as you can see, there's a pretty hefty amount of items there already. So you can build everything from this kind of greenhouse thing to a nice library, to concert halls, to nice little wooden cottages underground.
Yeah, you could go, like you said, was it on Steam that people built a lot of cool
Oh yes,
things?
look at the game hubs on Steam.
Here we go.
Actually, we could show you some of what people have been building. Let me just go into the hub and bring up some.
We're back, and Jörgen is now going to show you a few decorations from Steam.
Yes.
What people has actually done, and so we've been live with this game for about a week, and people have already started uploading their cool structures and screenshots.
Okay.
Here you go. It's the same mausoleum theme that you have, like with the decorative windows.
Okay.
Okay, back into the game.
Back into the game.
We can show community on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Slight technical delay. We will switch computers. And Fred, do a dance. No, don't do a dance. So
I'm really good at doing the river dance, but the camera just
the
was
dwarf
just
dance.
removed. A lot of people are making references to Dwarf Fortress, which I think is inevitable, but this game is not Dwarf Fortress. And we said so from the beginning. It doesn't try to be. It contains dwarfs, though. Which,
It does. And
which
digging.
also Moria does.
And fortresses.
And Lord of the Rings.
But we don't. I mean, we cannot compete with a game in complexity. This game is nowhere near the incredible like molecule depths of Dwarf Fortress. But that's not what we're trying to do.
No.
We're trying to make a fun, easy, accessible building game.
Yep.
So for people who want something as hardcore as Dwarf Fortress, this is not.
People are asking about the multiplayer as well, and no one knows what the future holds. We
No,
can say that
no one
much.
does.
It's not in this build, though.
It's not. It's not. But as you said, it would be fun to have some kind of multiplayer. But design-wise, we felt that we didn't know looking at the time we had and the scope we had, we felt that we wanted to concentrate on making a kick-ass single-player experience, which I, again, of course, biased, think we did.
Yes.
But having some kind of multiplayer where you could build stuff together or just poke someone else's dwarfs, that would be immense amounts of fun. Dwarf training, how do they level up? Currently, the dwarflings, the teenager dwarfs that you hire, that you order from Hemfort, the big. Could you show the Hemfort button, Anna? There. You can order dwarflings. They will come running from the dwarven home of Hemfort. When they're dwarflings, they just do like teenagers. They kick around, they waste resources and sleep. But they also automatically gain experience for just being stupid teenagers. So either you can let them do that into something and then evolve them into what you need, like Anna is showing us now, or you could let a specialized dwarf do what they do, and then they will level up. They will get better at what they do, depending on how much you do it. And with most of the occupations, like the digger, the researcher, and the worker, they will go on about doing their thing and be more and more effective. So the most important dwarf to actually see to it that he trains is the military dwarf, because you don't want to run into high-level mobs with a level 5 military dwarf, because then he will meet a quick death, and you'll have to bury him in the mortuary that I assume everyone is building, because that's how I do it.
The enemies keep on teleporting, people say in the chat. What's the reason behind that?
The reasoning behind that is, the technical solution is that we wanted to save some pathfinding. I mean, to have a really good pathfinding, it would take a lot of steam from the computer. But the ways of countering it, that you have to have a military presence in your colony all the time. You can't just have outposts far away from your core settlement. So you have to have a couple of guard posts everywhere in your area, and see to it that they are fully manned.
No, that makes sense.
And also build traps close to your most precious structures, like the dining tables, which is the most treasured dwarven structure there is. I lost my train of thought. Say something fun, quick.
What role does the dwarven king or prince play in the game? The king is actually the father back at home for it,
Yeah.
and the guy who is running around in this level here is dwarf prince. What role does he play?
I would say that he plays the role of a CEO at a modern company. No one really knows what he does, but people get confused when he's not there. Do you feel that this...
That makes a lot of sense. I think that kind of describes my role perfectly. No one has ever told me that before, so I'm going to add that.
I didn't mean to be blunt.
No, I think it makes sense. I'm going to add that to my work description.
But the prince has... You can choose what, when you start a game, you can choose what kind of influence he gives you. So if you have a researcher prince, he gives you a couple of research points for free and makes researching easier. He could be a warrior prince, and then he can actually fight for you against mobs. Right. And then he can take an active part in defending your dungeon. But you have to see to it that he is alive, well, and fed. Because if he dies...
Like a CEO.
Like a CEO. Because if he dies, the settlement dies.
So, like a boss. If he dies, the settlement dies.
A boss.
Makes sense. So they're building really fast down there. Is that on high speed now?
It is, it is.
Or did they just take any prescription drug to dig that fast?
You can, in the tech tree, you can see to it that your dwarves, there's a tech called caffeine, which makes the dwarves, the researchers, work faster. And if they work faster, you get more research points, and then you can unlock stuff that makes your dwarves work even better.
Faster and better. Yeah, makes sense. It works like a university, you could say. Like, without caffeine, the most universities would have to close down.
Yeah.
That's just something I made up, obviously.
But it sounds like
I didn't even finish my degree from the university, so I'm just a bitter old man.
Most of these dwarves didn't either.
Now you can see that because they're not wearing their hats.
No, they're not.
The science dwarves, though, what classes did they take? Was it physics or was it?
I assume it was physics, some kind of chemistry, mostly just besser wizardry.
Right. But the thing is, I think there's a course at the Stockholm University which is a dinosaur, it's like history of dinosaurs. Did anyone take that
Go
course?
paleontology.
Paleontology? No. It's actually called something with dinosaurs. So I imagine it being like Jurassic Park.
Probably.
Are we adding dinosaurs to this game? That's a question from me, actually.
That's a question from you. As you can see, when you dig around, there's bones. You find bones. They're probably from dinosaurs.
That's right.
We might never know. We might never
Has
know.
anyone ever found a dinosaur in this game? Then they have to email me at, yeah, you know the address. Or contact me, the Wester from,
The Wester
at Twitter.
Front. We got another question. Will we see more mission packs or just item DLCs? As you said, one never knows.
You never know. I mean, we go to our forums, forum.paradoxplaza.com, where we discuss with our fans, like whatever you like to see. I mean, we are open to all kinds of suggestions to how to develop the game, what we focus on. If you want to squash some bugs, you can squash bugs in the game as well. There are spiders in the game, but if there's anything you find annoying that you would like to change, go in there and register your game. If you can do that, can you register?
Yes, you can. You just use the CD key from Steam. So, to make your voice heard, we have a couple of item DLCs planned. But if there's a big demand for mission packs, we'll of course see what we can do. I mean, we're making this game for you as much as we're making it for ourselves. We want to play it, but we need you to think that it's fun too.
Yeah, I don't even want to know how many hours Jörgen spent in total in his Steam account. I think I'll have to log in and check it out.
Yeah, I think it's...
Does it say if it was working hours or not?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, oh, that's too bad then. Do we have anything else we want to show as well? We're at it?
I have one large structure that I like to show you before we begin. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. I started my grand idea was that I was going to build the Eiffel Tower in a Game of Dwarves.
Oh!
It didn't really become the Eiffel Tower, but it became something big, and it took me about 10 hours of pure building joy.
So it was not the Eiffel Tower, but it was basically, you could build the, let's see here, the Tokyo TV Tower maybe, or something like that. It kind of looks like the Eiffel Tower. So this is the structure, the basic structure of the Eiffel Tower. And then you move up.
Here we have the ground floor where people are hanging out. There's some food around here.
Mostly beggars, like in Paris.
Mostly beggars.
And a lot of pigeons as well.
And a lot of pigeons. And then we have a couple of floors up with some nice mats. I haven't removed the scaffolding yet.
All right, yeah, there's scaffolding, obviously.
Of course. How would they otherwise build it? There's a luxurious ladder here built in pure titanium. Pure
Titanium lead ladder. Makes sense to me.
And nice red carpets. And then we move up another level. And here we have, as you can see, the lazy worker dwarves have left things around like their lunch, tools, iron carts. And here we have a nice, quiet library for contemplation. This is where dwarves come after a hard day of work to kick back, have a couple of beers, read a book or two. Further up, we find the meditation area. Not even books can threaten you here. Here it's just you, the view, and a nice red chair.
So if it's not the Eiffel Tower, it's the Eiffel Tower. Someone says in the.
Dude.
That was even worse than my joke about the short music previously, wasn't it?
Oh,
that was a terrible joke. We appreciate that a lot.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, we do.
Thank you, anonymous internet user. We really love you.
I'm gonna go home and cry now. This is 10 hours of my life.
10 hours of Jörgen's life wasted on the Eiffel Tower. But it's a great name for the save.
It is.
Oh, you have another.
Of course.
And this is like the magnum opus.
The magnum opus.
With a grand piano on
with a
top.
grand piano on top. I assume the acoustics outside would be horrible.
Uh-huh. But you could have birds singing while you're
You
playing.
could have birds singing. There's probably birds singing. We just don't have them in game. And to
Can you
support,
actually make it to the top?
that's another thing we're looking at. Currently, you can just build 1 or 2 block height on the surface, but we'll see if we can do that. Our base assumption was that why would dwarfs want to live above ground anyways?
Yes.
But we can see on the dwarven internets that there's some kind of demand for this. So we'll see what we can do, and hopefully,
Oh,
hopefully, I
maybe
won't
there will
promise
be a
anything, but-
dwarven vote. For
Yes.
It. Yes. Vote dwarves in 2012.
I hear Paradox as a real library. Do you allow bears in there? When we say
There are
real
no-
library,
There are no minors listening to this show, right?
of course not.
Okay, good.
Could there be minors on the internet?
There are no minors on the. Oh, that was funny. Well, we have a library.
But it's with fake books.
Well,
It's
they might
wallpaper
be
books.
fake to you, but to me, it's like,
They're-
yeah, we have actually, the wallpaper looks like it's books.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
And we do. I
And
think we do allow bears in there sometimes.
We allow
from time
beer,
to time.
beers in all rooms except for the server room.
Yeah.
And we have no real server room.
So pretty much everywhere.
Pretty much, we do have a server room,
We have
obviously.
4 of them.
Now our producer says we have 4 server
5
rooms, like,
technically.
or 5, whatever. We have a lot of server rooms apparently, and beer is not allowed in there. But
No.
all other rooms, the library, the contemplation room. What other rooms do we have? The grand piano
Yeah.
room. Yeah.
And what we can see here is that Troy, level 19 Berserker, even tough guys need some intellectual stimulation from time to time.
Maybe he's reading Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
The art
At
of
level
dwarf. The art of dwarf. Oh,
No. That doesn't work. I'm sorry about that. Sorry for
It was worth a try. How far can you dig it down, someone asks. You can dig it down pretty far. It depends a bit on the map you're at, but on the big ones it's about 30 levels, so it's pretty deep. It's not,
How far down is this? 10 levels? Or?
this is, let's see where our bottom level is. This is level 21, so as you can see we can go down to level 30. But I haven't dared. I mean, there's scary things here. Deep down.
Dig it. Dig it.
Can you dig it? Dig it and try what happens to the Eiffel Tower.
Let's see how we. Okay,
Let's see.
let's dig into this,
Oh, I knew it.
and then let's raise the speed a bit and see. We're already on our way down. No.
Ah, so now
Elves and men and orcs.
of orcs and men.
Of orcs and men.
Is one of them really dim-witted?
Oh, he's gonna kill your worker.
All of them are pretty dim. As you can see, he's pretty scary. He's pretty scared. I think, do I even have any warriors? Yes, we have a couple of
You
warriors.
just talked about having one, that he was...
Yeah, you said the level 19 one, the Art of Dwarf.
So, well, since we don't have time to make a really... Oh, no! No! Come on, Troy. Do what you do best. He actually made himself worth it. This is a pretty tough warrior guy. And he's using his bare knuckles. A leader among orcs.
Oh, he's fighting with his bare hands.
He's a berserker. He's a pretty tough guy. But this is pretty much what I had to show you. We could always, let's go back to Anna and see what she's been doing since we left.
Yes.
She's been building for about an hour now.
So this is Anna's structure. What are you building? Some winged dwarves there to guard some sort of entrance. It looks like the... What are the big statues in Lord of the Rings? They're like guarding the waterfall or something.
Oh, yes,
They're guarding
those.
something,
Silent
whatever.
Watcher.
The Silent Watcher.
The Silent Watcher.
And suddenly tentacles come out of the pool.
Yeah.
little horses.
And for those of you who are Doctor Who fans, this is not Weeping Angels. This is just regular dwarven angels. Now that's something you don't say every day.
Dwarven Angels.
Regular.
It sounds like a really bad, like German speed metal band. Dwarven Angels. That would be like, I would listen to them. It would be like, yeah.
Probably
would be
me too.
Terrible.
Probably me too. But we're pretty happy with what we have now. We have some nice free stuff in the in-game store. So for those of you who haven't already picked them up, please do. The angels
aren't as scary as they.
It's a Doctor Who reference.
Yes,
Oh,
of
the
course,
Limbic,
of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
they're not as scary. Those are among the top 10 scariest monsters.
They're not as good anymore as they were.
No, they're not.
They used to be really awesome.
So, are there any more questions from the chat? So please.
So we're going to reply to a few more questions from the chat, and then we're going to wrap up
Yeah.
for today and just call it a day or a night over here. Can the dwarves be named in the current build?
No, they cannot. But we do have a long list of names to that randomizes.
You know what? Go into our forums and say we want to add more names and start a name petition. So maybe you'll get your name into the game. Now I'm starting to promise things that I'm not even sure that we
really
can
like
do.
that.
Have you announced the unannounced game yet today?
Yeah, I haven't announced any new games today, but I really want to do it. But the funny thing is that the best thing is when you talk about the games and you start promising things that you're not sure you can actually deliver, and you just blame people who work in development. So that's good. That's how you can do it. I would never do that though, but I know a lot of people who would.
And to answer the very relevant question on the screen right now, I would say that Troy is the dwarven equivalent of Chuck Norris. So I think it's a tie.
Will we patch this game in smaller increments or in bigger patches?
To be a bit cocky, I would say that this is one of the. This was a very stable release, so we have. We patched it once so far with a couple of bug fixes, and we're looking at patching it again in a week or two, and try to fix those issues that are there now. So, not very often, but we'll try to squash as many bugs as possible when we actually do patch it. So, we have a patch planned for, what date is it today? For late next week or early the week after that.
Well, someone says in the chat that Chuck Norris is a creationist. Is Troy a creationist too? Maybe we don't have to answer that question.
It's very politically loaded.
It's a very politically loaded question. The good thing about the Dwarven political system is that it is not a republic, and you don't vote. You already have a ruler.
Exactly.
And if you don't like him, you have to start your own colony.
Aren't they more like bees?
And it's very important.
It is like a beehive.
We put a lot of focus in the design of this game on the non-existent political system and the fact that all dwarfs are allowed freedom of religion and thought. You can't see it in the game, but believe me, it's there.
But you can still say that the upper class controls the means of production.
They do.
Or how do you put it politically?
You could also say that the King Father is non-good in Newspeak, but no dwarf would ever think that.
Well, someone asked how it's not a republic, but you can't vote. No, this is actually a dictatorship under the rule of the Dwarven King and the Dwarven Prince, who is like his right hand. Yeah. Well, we're not delving deeper into that.
No.
If you catch my point there. Oh, I'm so funny. We
Very
can
much
have
so.
one last question from the chat, and it will come up on our screen in a second when our producer finds his time. And
How long
meanwhile,
have you been playing this?
I've been playing this game for about 15 hours, but I wanted to upload my structures to the Paradox forums. But when I saw all the structures that other people created, I kind of changed my mind, because my creations look mostly like Joseph Fritzl's basement or something. That was very politically loaded. I'm sorry about that. Not Joseph Fritzl necessarily, but someone who would build a terrible
basement dwellers.
Whatever basement you could find that is just terrible looking. Sorry about that, Jörgen. Question incoming.
So where do we go from here? Does the game end when the prince dies? Your session ends, but you can of course always just load an older save game and go back and replay from there. And once you finish the campaign map, you can go back and decorate the crap out of it if you want to. The decoration potential is endless.
We are Swedes.
Yes, we are.
In-house indoor decoration is a big thing.
It is.
So we're wrapping this up, and the camera is switching back to myself and Jörgen, I guess, and our beautiful faces that you can see for
very much so.
Within a few seconds.
Within a few seconds.
And
there we are.
Hello.
So
we basically have three things that we want to say to you before we close this broadcast. And that is, first of all, the game is $9.99, so you can go and buy it if it looks good. There's the camera. 2, go to the Paradox forums and discuss this game with other people and voice your opinion. 3, follow us on Twitter, A Game of Dwarves, or me personally, the Western Front. Are you on Twitter?
No, I'm not.
You should be. That's where it all happens.
I'm
all the
backwards
cool kids,
like that.
All the cool kids hang out on Twitter.
Also, please check the game hubs on Steam to look at what people have been doing. The developers, Zeal Game Studios at Gotland, they're very active on both the Steam game hubs and our forums, and they'll be happy to know what you think.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.
Good night.
Tee-hee.
Autumn, a time of changing leaves, bountiful harvests, and dwarves. As the layer of frost begins to form on the surface, the dwarves retreat to their underground home to prepare for the cold winter months by harvesting bountiful crops, crafting new seasonal items, and ensuring that their fortress is secure from the creatures lurking nearby. But not all of their preparations are for practical reasons, for autumn is also the time for the perplexing dwarven practices of eating, drinking, and decorating, collectively referred to by researchers as Dwarftoberfest. It is through these rituals that the dwarves bond and, perhaps more importantly, gain weight, ensuring that the colony survives until spring. Winter is coming. But for now, it's still autumn in A Game of Dwarves. Though you might not know it, deep beneath this forest exists a vast underground community with a rather peculiar resident, the dwarf. Out of sight, generations of dwarves take part in a thriving society, the foundation of which is teamwork and digging. The digger dwarf, or Diggy as he is commonly known, mines the underground for valuable resources needed for dwarven construction. The dwarves are not alone in their underground home, and they constantly encounter enemies who they must protect the colony from with brute strength. The fighter dwarves train day and night to protect the dwarves. Among them are workers, researchers, juveniles, crafters, and the all-important Prince Dwarf. This variety allows the dwarves to specialize and thrive in their underground fortress, crafting beautiful items and building tremendous halls done with such precision and skill that it is no wonder the dwarves survive to this day, much the way they have for thousands of years. This is A Game of Dwarves.